Okay, so let's get some stuff out of the way from the last video. First and foremost, when I said Black Americans don't know where they're from, I mean that your people were taken 500 years ago from where they're from and brought here, and you don't know where they're from. So to you, you're a Black American, okay? When you ask a person like me that's Dominican and obviously of Black descent, are you Black? We kind of feel like you're making us choose sometimes. Like the new generation feels like we're being made to choose. Like we're being made to choose Black over everything else that we are, because we're more than just Black. Like we are more than just Black, and we know we're more than just Black. So we state we're Dominican, and it bothers you guys, and I just don't understand why, because we get it, but we're Black, but you are Black American culture and we are of Dominican culture, and the question that you're asking is not the question that we're answering. I hope you understand. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. Like, oh, another thing, my energy is my energy. Y'all don't like how I talk, get the off of my page. Like don't come over here policing that shit. And I ain't never said that I wasn't Black either. Like, let's all check that conversation. Like, for all the warriors up in my comments and shit. Like, I'm just not willing to choose one over the other three that I am mixed with. Like, I just can't. And I'm not going to satisfy your need to hear me validate my Blackness for you. I already validated my Blackness. I'm Dominican. I am Black, European, and indigenous. Like, the conversation is stupid. The question is stupid because when you say, are you Black, to a person that is Black presenting, what are you asking as a Black American? What are you asking?
What it do? This is your brother Bishop of Bishop's Zone TV, and we got to talk about that man, that guy. Who am I talking about? Philscott, the Philscott Advised Show, Mr. quote unquote African Diaspora Network Station, whatever the hell he got going on. Man got too many damn channels. Black Congregation, Black Man with Mexican Wives Network TV. We got to talk about this because I saw this video where he was addressing this Dominican sister, and it's so funny to me how, you know, one of the things that this Dominican sister, as what you just saw in this clip, one of the things that she brought up was the fact that some Black Americans be feeling some kind of way that Dominican people just don't choose Black. Right? Like, that's one of the things that she brought up, is like, y'all get so in y'all feelings just because some Dominicans won't pick a side. And it's ironic that she said that because as soon as that video went off, Philscott, Mr. Scott, literally got irate, got upset, was in his feelings because she wouldn't pick a side. And I want to respond to his reaction. Now, I wasn't gonna play the full clip because I don't want him to, you know, take my stuff down or whatnot. But I gotta talk about this cat and really just the politics of racial identity in general. You know, especially from a Western perspective. Because what this sister said, what this Dominican sister said, now I don't really know who it is. I don't really know her, but just judging her from that clip, what she said wasn't entirely wrong. What she said wasn't entirely wrong. If you study the history of Dominican Republic, yeah, they are not just like Black. They're not just Black. So judging Dominican people from an American perspective is not the right way to go about, you know, addressing people of other ethnicities outside yourself. they can't say that they're just black because they're not. First of all, black Americans are not 100% black in general. But we have more African admixture in our genetics, generally speaking, than the average Dominican Republican. I said Dominican Republic. The average Dominican. My apologies. I know black. So you can't expect them to consider themselves the same as you as in the black American, because it's not exactly the same. It's not exactly the same. And I'm gonna address some things about Dominican Republic, but I'm gonna do it in a respectful manner because I am not Dominican. Matter of fact, I want to have interviews with some of my, people of all African descent from different nations. I want to have a conversation so I can better understand, their experiences growing up in their countries and just their culture in general, without me necessarily generalizing and assuming that these people are this, that, and third. But what I do know and what is factual is, yes, there is some very anti-black sentiments in Dominican Republic history. It is a racist society. That is a fact. Every country, every nation in the Western Hemisphere that was created, that was established by colonial powers, is racist in general. Look, DR, Haiti, that was the land that brought the first enslaved Africans to the Western world. That's a fact. This country was founded on slavery. It also made sure that it committed genocide against the indigenous people that occupied that land before the Europeans colonized it. That's a fact. And when you look at the history of those who have been in power in the Dominican Republic since its existence, they have been white. Or let me just say this, mostly European admixture. That's a fact. Look at a picture of a majority of the presidents of the Dominican Republic. Majority of them look like they come straight from Spain. That's a fact. I'm not making that up. So when you look at the power structure in the Dominican Republic and you see how they treat Haitian people, then you understand the dynamics of that country as far as race is concerned. That doesn't mean every Dominican person in the DR is racist. They probably have some form of white supremacy, some form of superiority feeling over Haitian people, but that doesn't mean that every person that's in the Dominican Republic is inherently racist towards African people, or trying to disdain or have some type of disdain or resentment towards their African features or African lineage. Now, here's the kicker. This is why I don't have an issue with what she said. I'm going to read you this article that's speaking on the genetic makeup of the Dominican population. In modern days, and according to genealogical DNA testing, the genetic makeup of the Dominican population is estimated to be 52% European, 40% Sub-Saharan African, and 8% Native American. The general population of the country is divided into 3 ethno-racial groups. Mulattoes or mixed race Dominicans are 73% of the population. They are mainly of African and European descent. White Europeans of mainly Spanish and French descent compose 16% of the population, and Black Africans compose the remaining 11%. Do you see that? They are actually more European than they are African. Now, if you combine the Sub-Saharan African and the Native American genetics, then, they're more non-European than they are European, but that's still a high percentage of Europeans. Black Americans, on average, don't have that much European DNA in them. On average, African Americans tend to have between, I believe it's 10% to 20, 25, maybe 30% European admixture on average. On average, we have, again, I think it's around 10% to about 25% European admixture. So what she said isn't necessarily wrong. And let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, Phil. There is a segment of African Americans who would be upset, would feel some kind of way if she did identify solely as black. FBA, ADOS would call her a tether. So how is it you get mad at her for saying, look, yes, I do acknowledge that I am of black descent, but I'm much more than black, which she is correct. According to the DNA study, she is correct. I get it. I understand. Look, there are some racist Dominicans. That's a fact. It is some self-hating Dominicans. It's in y'all history. Just like it's some self-hating black Americans. It's some self-hating African people all over the goddamn globe. And it's a weird dynamic in America. We might not necessarily acknowledge the fact that we have European admixture in us, but at the same time, black people have no problem identifying themselves as Americans, which Americans are the ones that enslaved our people, and Americans are the one that created identity, particularly for themselves, while we were property of Americans. Or even if you were free, you were oppressed by Americans. When they came up with the term America, your black ass, your ancestors were not called Americans. Generally speaking, that's a fact. You were property of Americans. That's a fact. But now we've, assimilated into the American psyche. We've assimilated to American culture because we've been here so long that, they don't have no problem calling themselves black Americans or simply black. Even though that's a response to so-called white people calling themselves white. And that's the problem, is that our conditioning is so attached to a narrative that has been created by our oppressors that we are trying to make Dominican people and other groups of people outside of America choose between black and white, when it's much more complicated than that. People are trying to pretend that they're the gatekeepers of black. Because in America, historically, we have gone by a one-drop rule. Different oppressors, y'all. In America, it was mostly of the Western Anglo-Saxon Protestant stock that enslaved us. And they went by a one-drop rule. In a lot of these Latin countries, they were the Spanish. The Spanish colonized these people. Colonized African people, or enslaved African people. My apologies. Enslaved African people. They had a different system. And we know that they had a different system because if you look in Louisiana, for example, you see sort of the same dynamic with the so-called quote-unquote Creole people, Louisiana Creole people. These were people who didn't identify with black or white. That's a fact. Much more like what you see in the Caribbean with mulatto people. So given the opportunity in a system that didn't go by a one-drop rule, you were more than likely to identify as your own demographic, your own being. That's a fact. I'm not saying I agree with it or not. It's just when you're judging race, when you're looking at race, especially from a Western perspective, it is very complicated. It is very blurry lines, and we have to acknowledge that. So when Phil gets on his show and he gets upset that this sister doesn't identify, or she doesn't come out and say black, it's like, what the hell you want? Because if she did identify that, then you would still shame her for being Dominican in some shape, form, or fashion, because her history in her country does have some anti-black rhetoric within their DNA, within the fabric of Dominican Republic, which is true. But he didn't look at her as an individual. And he has this whole, and this is another thing, because now I'm about to get personal. Gloves are off. Why is he so concerned with how she identifies herself? Why is he concerned with other groups of Afro Latinos and how they choose to identify themselves? It's something going on with Phil. Let's just call it for what it is. Phil is married to he's married to a Mexican woman. He's married to a Mexican woman. She might be white Hispanic, but he's married to a Mexican woman. People know that. And I'm starting to think the reason why he has so much, or he's so invested in this conversation of Afro Latinos and their identity, has everything to do with his wife. And look, for the record, I don't like to talk about people's wife. I'm not going to talk about his wife. I'm talking about him personally. But it has something to do with his wife. But I just want to say for the record, I like to be a man of integrity, and respect. And I like to respect people's marriages. So don't think I'm just going to be some type of gossip platform where I'm just coming at people's neck and coming at people's families and stuff like that, being disrespectful. But I think in this case, it makes sense. Let me land. He is so concerned with how they identify themselves because he tried to pull the same mess when people found out that his wife was Mexican. When people found out that his wife wasn't black and he talks all this blackity black, people was like, what the hell? They were confused. And he tried to make it seem as though, well, you know, she got some black in her. You know, she's half Native American, half Mexican, with some black. You know, technically we all come from Africa anyway.
You're saying that you said your wife was a black Latina?
No, I said, and I never said she was a black Latina. I said that she had some black people in her family. That's what I said. And I never said she was a black Latina. I said that she had some black people in her family. That's what I said. And I never said she was a black Latina. I said that she had some black people in her family. That's what I said.
Like, that's what the man said, maybe not in relation to, well, yeah, he did say it. When he was talking to his white host years ago. He was talking to this white woman, and she brought up the conversation of, she brought up interracial relationships. And it's funny how Phil had a lot to say about black women and white men's response to interracial relationships. And then immediately went on the defense of black men picking non-black women as their soulmates, as their loved ones. And then had to throw in the technically we all come from Africa anyway. The first man and woman came from Africa.
Women insecure. Why is that? Who the hell do these white men think they are anyway? So you know what, white women? You get to a certain age, go after a black guy.
That's the answer to your problem.
That's the answer. You know what? Forget about these white men. You know what? They don't appreciate you the way you are. Go after a black man. They're a lot more loving. That's the answer to the problems.
Yeah,
we figured out the answer to all of life in this little episode.
You're married to a Latino. Why is it that people are so angry about that?
I don't really have an issue with that. I don't know who's angry. I mean, because I'm the type of person, if somebody was angry about my, relationship with my wife, I'm like, get you some business. I mean, because what I got going on has nothing to do with anybody else. But neither do I come out promoting that, my wife is better than other people due to, her ethnicity. And at the end of the day, I've done my research. Everybody, no matter what, comes from Africa.
And we all come from the same place. And it's obvious to everyone but those racists that that's what we're all one person.
Brother, technically, human beings and gorillas are primates. That don't mean I'll be hanging in a goddamn tree with bubbles in them. I ain't trying to hang with bubbles in them, nigga. Nigga rip my damn arm and nuts off. What's wrong with you? Hey, Bubbles, nigga, you crazy, Bubbles? I don't be rocking with the niggas, but I rocks with the apes. Rocks with them gorillas. Southside gorilla. Who said we ain't dealing lizards? Car change color like chameleon lizard. Shouts out to Big Tucker there, Southside gorillas in Dallas. But I'm just saying, it's because you got a non-black wife. Why you are that invested in shitting on black women, shaming black women for quote-unquote divesting? And believe you me, I have criticized my fair share of some black women when it comes to those same topics. But this man got this shit going every damn week. Every week he got 2 or 3 clips of shaming black women. See, I told you so. Brothers are done with the sisters, with the black American sisters. He all over the place. When in reality, no, it's you. You were done with them. You have some bitterness towards black women. And so this clip right here pisses you off because you want her to make a decision so you can lie to yourself and say, I am dating, in essence, I'm dating a black woman. She just happens to be a light-skinned Mexican that I can run my fingers through her hair without, coarsening it up. I don't know. But but that's what it's about, dude. Because you tried to act like that she was black by proxy. Then the fool said, Well, I didn't say she was black. I said she got black family members. God damn. I mean, I teased my wife, you know, for having some Mexican in-laws at one of the family reunions. I was like, who was that? Who was that? I didn't know y'all was Mexican. I didn't know y'all was Mexican. I thought you was black, you know? Which, by the way, my wife is black. That is the most powerful thing any black person can do, is marry another black person and create black babies. That's black power. That's black power. That's building a civilization. So miss me with that, man. Miss me with, you know, questioning her allegiance to blackness and questioning Dominicans' allegiance and other groups, black immigrants' allegiance to black Americans. You don't even have no allegiance to black Americans, nigga. You don't. How you gonna have allegiance to us and you sleep in the bed with a non-black woman? You be snoring in the bed with a non-black woman. That's you. That's you. Y'all put y'all butts on the same toilet seats. It's black asses that go on seats in my restroom in my household. No non-blacks allowed. No non-blacks allowed, you know? You went outside, boy. Timothy. Just shows. Not. But for real, I'm just saying, Phil, come on, man. Get this dude, man. This dude. Like some of the content, but dude, this ain't it. This ain't it. So that's all I got for now. You know, like and subscribe, leave a comment. You know, and until next time, holla.